Hello plant friends. For a while I've been wanting to make a video about ficus seed starting. I have a very specific method that's actually quite simple, and I think that really it just depends on how viable the seeds are in order to get some more ficus trees out of them. Ficus, as you know, are fig trees, and they have little fruits, and I think in the wild they are pollinated by a specific wasp that lives symbiotically with the ficus tree. In cultivation, though, I think that people just basically hand pollinate these trees, and that's how you get more of them. I find ficus seeds for sale at a bunch of different stores online. You can pretty much find most of the commercial varieties of ficus available by seed. The only issue is that a lot of ficus seeds aren't viable and or they go bad very quickly. And I find that to be typical with fruiting seeds. They are only viable for a few months, maybe even less. It behooves you to plant that seed as soon as possible because otherwise it won't be viable anymore. 2 days ago, I decided to start soaking some more Ficus petiolaris seeds. These are rock figs, I think is what people call them. They have really beautiful red veining on the leaves, and they develop a woody caudiciform base, which is probably why I got them, because I love caudiciforms. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take a medicine cup basically, and I have some bonsai mix. It's just a mineral only bonsai mix, and I'm going to fill that cup about 3/4 of the way full. You can use regular soil to plant ficus seeds, but your likelihood of them rotting or not even germinating at all is much higher. The method with the medicine cup or these condiment cups is very simple. So I've been soaking these seeds for 2 days. What I am going to do is slowly pour out this water, hopefully not pouring out any seeds with it. Some people will actually discard the floating seeds on top of the water. I don't. I find that that's not always a good measurement or a good test of how viable the seed is by whether it floats or sinks. I think it can be, but in my experience, I've had seeds that floated that also started, so I just pour them all. Even if my seeds aren't, the pick of the litter, so to speak. I'm not a commercial grower. I'm not trying to make these guys all look uniform. I don't really care about that as much as somebody who does have a giant nursery may care about that kind of thing. And I'm gonna just slowly pour the seeds and some water into this cup. And I'm trying to be careful not to pour too much water because essentially I just want the surface of the rocks and or the areas where I'm pouring the seeds to be moist, but I don't want them to be floating on top of the rocks, if that makes sense. It is kind of a delicate balance. You just want it to be moist, like regular soil. You want it to be moist. You don't want it to be dripping wet. You don't want it to be a body of water that the seeds are floating in. You just want enough for them to have moisture to germinate. So this may be a little too much water right now, but I'm going to just take my extra thing and go water a plant. That'll be right back. So now that I have all of my seeds in here, it's looking a bit full of water. This is exactly what you don't want. You don't want the seeds to just be floating in rock soup. So I'm going to slowly try to dump out some of this water without dumping out the seeds. And then hopefully when I'm done with that, they will be floating on top of the rocks. This makes me want a glass of lemonade, right guys? And I'm just carefully draining the water out of the cup. I want some water in there, but not as much as we just saw. If you see this cup, there's little or no standing water in the bottom of it. The rocks are all wet and the seeds are right on top, and that's what we want. They need to be on top of the rocks so that they germinate. I'm gonna cover this with a lid and then put it right under a grow light, and we should see some sprouts within a few weeks. After a few weeks, your ficus seeds will look like this. They will likely be 2 leaves at first. This guy's probably more than a couple of weeks old, but he's taking his time growing. This was another batch of Ficus petiolaris, and he is the sole survivor, it looks like, though I may get some more sprouts. Just to show you that this method works with any ficus seed, These are Ficus ingens seeds. So when you have more in your batch that are viable, you get more sprouts, obviously. But this is what they look like if they all start to come up. And then these guys are a few months old as of now. These are Ficus palmeri. These are, I believe, desert figs is what they're called. Rock fig is petiolaris and desert fig is palmeri. You can start to see their true leaves forming, and soon I will be able to take them out and repot them in another pot.